Welcome to episode 10. We are talking about the soul's journey. I can't wait. Let's dive in.
All right, my friend, it's time to wrap up this first season, and we're going to talk about something that's super interesting to me, I know to you, and that is what we call the soul's journey.
Oh, I can't wait to dive into this one. So we touch on spirituality a lot, but most of the episodes so far have been real practical, sales, investments, stuff like that, and practical advice. But let's get spiritual with them. So, before we do that, I want to just a little disclaimer. Whatever you believe, we are an all-inclusive thinking group. So it doesn't matter whether you call it God, if you're Catholic, Buddhist, whatever, there is a higher power at play. There is something greater that created all of us. And there's, Houston and I call it the light, right? And we both have, I have specifically a divine healer that, I've been working with recently who has come into my spirituality. And it directly correlates to success, which is kind of at the root of this podcast, is trying to teach people how to achieve freedom, how to achieve success, why it's important, why it matters, and why it's your duty and obligation. But at the core of that is what you believe. What do you believe to be true about the universe? And I'm interested to hear your perspective and your take on the universe and what you believe. And this is going to be a higher level of consciousness type episode. So I can't wait to dive in.
Yeah. So we've talked about coaches a lot. And I have a spiritual coach.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think, it shows, we talk about the pillars of life for me when we talk about success, right? So to go back to that, if you haven't listened, it's mind for me, mind, body, spirit, and business. And I hired a spiritual coach for this reason. And it plays such an integral role, not in just your success, like in business, but in your relationships. Like, what I mean by that is his name's Julian Rosen, and he's an incredible human being. You said you have a healer, right? Like a spiritual healer. So I would say the same. This person was put on this planet to heal people. This person, Julian, was put on this planet to heal men, right? And I got connected with him through the right people, and I really just watched everything change within my life. The way that I approach decisions changed, the way that the lack of judgment that I had on other people changed. My ability to lead from a powerful position changed. My money changed. It grew. It stacked. And I can honestly tell you that it was all because of a spiritual connection, right? So I'll give you an example. I cover things throughout the state right now in our medical business. And I was in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is the town that I'm from. I went to school there, went to UT and all this stuff. So I'm back there, and I was just talking to this kid who's a host at a Panera Bread. I'm just doing catching up with some work on my laptop, having coffee, going over notes and all this stuff from a call that I just finished. So I'm just talking to this kid, and he just kind of starts pouring his heart out to me, for 15 minutes. He told me about all of his struggles, and he was a basketball player and he broke his ankle, and I could talk to him about that. And I was just a sounding board, just let this kid talk. And then I poured into him, right? Hey man, don't lose hope. You're going to do great. You're going to move through this. I've seen it a million times. You're just, you got a light shining above you, dude. And this kid was 17 years old. Mm-hmm. But the point is, I just had this really awesome, authentic, 15-minute conversation with him. So I'm leaving this Panera Bread. Again, I don't live in Knoxville. No one there really knows me. I'm walking out, and this guy stops me, and he's like, "Hey man, what's your name?" I said, "Houston," small talk. And he's like, "Yeah, I noticed you talking to Josiah back there." And I was like, "Yeah, good kid." And he's like, "I come in every Wednesday to basically mentor Josiah. He lost his dad at a young age. He was lost in life. He really had no money, really a tough life situation. He just hit with over and over and over." And this guy who mentors him was like, "Hey, will you come back into town and I'm going to give you my number, but I want you to come talk to Josiah again." And I was like, "I mean, sure, I'd be happy to, but I'm not sure why." And he's like, "Dude, you have a presence about you, and that kid lit up talking to you."
Yeah.
So I want you to pour it into his life. There's something that you have to give him. I don't know what it is yet, but I want you to come back. And he texts me. And then he grabbed my shoulder, like said some quick words and was like, this is going to have a bigger impact than you could possibly know. Right. And so then after that, this crazy story like unfolds, and he wants me to come speak at events to like younger kids that are struggling and all that sort of stuff. So like, what comes of it?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm not going to take a cent for speaking at a single event.
Yeah.
Not one. But because of like being connected spiritually and just like pouring into other people and caring and not expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
I'm going to be given the opportunity to go and like talk to this kid and mentor him, and then mentor like his whole basketball team. Right. And like, I think that comes from like this just divine intervention.
Yep.
And being in alignment with yourself as a human. And then in turn, being able to give that to someone else. And to kind of bring that home for me, what I found is when that's in place, and that's like the center of what I'm doing, and I can feel it here.
Yeah.
Everything else seems to be taken care of. Right.
Yep.
Like everything. My relationship with Shannon thrives. As long as I'm where I need to be and I'm like spiritually aligned.
Yep.
My money thrives. It compounds.
Yep.
And then I'll tell you this too. If it's off, not only do I know that it's off, but like the people around me, my family, my friends, business partners, everyone knows that it's off.
Yep.
So the point being, like, it's critical to have some sort of alignment and a spiritual connection.
Yeah.
It matters.
Yep. For me personally, my life changed when I started to go down this path of developing some sort of spiritual awareness. So growing up, I was Catholic. My mother was Catholic and my father was Christian Scientist. And so I was kind of back and forth, and I grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school and church and stuff. But, something always, it never clicked with me, like kind of, going to church every Sunday. And I don't believe that the faith requires attendance and those kinds of things. And
to sit there.
And I honestly didn't quite know what I believed. Like, the Bible's a pretty damn good story, but at the end of the day, it's a story, right?
Yeah.
So I first started to meet with my healer, and it wasn't because I felt like I needed healing. It was because I felt like I wasn't walking in my calling.
Yeah.
And the first spiritual encounter that I had, right, she actually did a past life regression and saw that my soul had been here many, many times. So, I get a lot of times people say that, I'm kind of wise for my age.
Oh, yeah.
I hear that. And it's because my soul has been here very, very many times. And I believe that, the soul chooses to come down and have this human experience that we're all having right now. Mm-hmm. And whatever you believe in, like you got to believe in something. And I call it the calling, like whatever is on your heart. And for me, after a few sessions with my healer, right, I felt this call to lead, right, to lead people from my platform happens to be real estate, right? That's just where I've been able to achieve the success that I've had in my life. And that's my platform. But from that platform, I can lead others in other areas of life, which is what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And it's that whole one hand up, one hand down. So, leading folks to a life that they don't have to answer to anybody but themselves, and being aligned, like you said, being in touch with your moral compass is at the root of everything else. Because if you're not in touch with your moral compass, nothing else matters.
Nope.
And your story was really cool because people will always remember how you made them feel, not what you said.
Yeah.
Right. So when people remember how you make them feel, what you have to realize is how you're carrying yourself on a daily basis is a direct reflection of what you believe to be true about the universe, right? Because if you don't believe that there's something after this, whatever it may be, whether it's your soul coming back to this planet or whether it's your soul having this experience to then take back up to download, or maybe it's heaven or hell you believe in, whatever it is, if you don't believe in something, you're going to operate sort of as this lost.
Yeah. You'll be run by something else. I agree. If you don't believe in something, then you're going to get led down paths that you don't want to go down.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually know what you stand for, right? And like what you're after and who you are. Like what is your soul? It's a deep question, but like, before you and I agreed to actually go down this venture and this path and do the podcast, we asked ourselves, like, I think I asked the question, if you could summarize what you believe you're on this planet to do in one word, what would that be? And we each came up with it like very quickly, which means we knew, right? Yours was to lead and mine was to empower.
Yep.
Right. And so if you know that, you're going to continue to take the actions that are behind that belief.
Yep.
Right. So instead of going down a path that's not yours, not meant to be, going to lead to maybe some bad or some negative things, as long as you can anchor in whatever that spiritual belief is and what you're called to do, then good things will happen.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and then in turn, good things will happen to the people that you work with, that you surround yourself with. And that, like you said, that you lead. Like, we both lead a family.
Yep.
We both lead a business.
Yep.
You know, we have friendships that are going to call on us when they need something.
Yep.
Right. And if you're not like powerfully aligned, then you're not going to get that call. And you're going to have the opportunity to help.
Yeah.
Right?
There's something, a good friend of ours, Brittany Turner, says something that really resonated with me. And I was on her private island last year, and she's tough. I think she's 30, some early 30s. She's got a private island. So ultra visionary, like really wild vision. And she said to me, when you walk in your calling, I am blessed. And when I walk in my calling, you are blessed. So through walking in your calling, you will bless others. Yeah. And you have to get in touch with your soul and what your soul's calling is here to do. And that's directly correlated to your belief in whatever it is existence you have here. But when you start walking in that calling, everybody around you is blessed because now you have transcended this vessel that you're here in the form that you're here. You've now transcended and you're in tune with what we call the light, which is directly correlated to your soul. Yeah. When you're in tune with the light and you're walking in your calling, everyone around you is blessed and you become a beacon of light that attracts others and will attract opportunities to you. Yep. And when she said that to me, it was just like, man, you are doing everyone around you a disservice by not believing in something, finding your why, finding your calling, figuring out what's on your soul. What is your heart's deepest desires? Yeah. Writing your eulogy, figuring out who you want to be when you die. Start at the end. Yeah. Start at the end and work backwards. Like, all right, write your eulogy. Sit down, take some time, like hours, and write it out. And picture your son, your daughter, your spouse reading it at your funeral. Yeah. What does it say? Who were you? What impact did you have on this planet? Yeah. And then if you want that to be true, work backwards. So if that's true, who do I need to be in 10 years if I'm going to be that person when I die? All right, well, who do I need to be in 5 years if that's going to be true? Well, who do I need to be next year? Well, then you work back to what do I need to start doing tomorrow or today? So you essentially start out where you want to end up, right? And then reverse engineer it all the way back to today. And what do you need to start doing today? Yeah. And reverse engineer it all the way to the point of, if that's going to be me at the end of my life, what do I need to cut out of my life right now? Shed. What do I need to shed? Because that answer is far more important than what's the next. What is the next thing I need to do? It's what is the next thing do I not need to do? Yeah, dude. Maybe it's a what? It's a who? It's that bar you got to stop going to. It's that drink you got to stop grabbing. Like whatever it is, if you're going to be that person that you envisioned at the end of your life, you got to cut that out now. Yeah, man. That's so huge. That one's big. That's big. And I love what Brittany does in having people write their own eulogy. It's such a powerful exercise that I know to a lot of people listening may sound extreme or like maybe even morbid, but I also, what I would submit to the listeners is get comfortable with the idea of death in that time, right? Get very comfortable, get intimate with it, right? Because we've said it before. Yeah. You're like in Shawshank Redemption, you either get busy living or get busy dying. And I went through doing one or the other. I went through a pretty deep exercise, similar to that. And again, sounds extreme, but like I went through an exercise where you essentially dig your own grave and then it's intense. And you lay, got the goosebumps. Yeah. You lay in it. And then you listen to someone basically map out, okay, where could Houston's life go if, boom, fill in the blank. Where might Houston's life go if he doesn't open himself up fully? Yeah. Like to be in this partnership with Shannon. What happens to Hudson if you can't have an open heart and lead from your heart? Yeah. And like, dude, like laying in a grave that I dug for myself and then listening to those words, if that doesn't like change the way you approach your days in your life and what you want your outcome to be and like the life that you want to live. Yep. I don't know what will, but I would encourage all the listeners to do something like that. Pick your own extreme. Yeah. Or maybe I shouldn't say extreme. Pick your own path,
but like really get comfortable
Go
with
buy
that.
a coffin tomorrow.
Go buy a
lay in
coffin,
it.
put it in your backyard, scare the shit out of your wife.
Every morning, just lay
Right.
in the coffin.
It doesn't have to be that extreme. Like you and I are kind of, I'll take it to the extreme.
Sure, yeah.
But it works. But I would say at least get comfortable with the idea. Like map that out, you know, because then you'll find you start taking the right steps that are going to lead you towards the life that you want to live.
100%. And
Right.
you said something that is just triggered this, if you don't do it, what happens if you don't do it? That we talked earlier about risk and making investments, and it was more from a financial standpoint, but let's talk about it from a spiritual standpoint.
Yeah.
What is going to be, if you're on your deathbed and you didn't take these chances, you didn't do the spiritual work and walk in your calling, and on your deathbed, Les Brown does this little exercise. So he says, imagine laying on your deathbed, and around you are the ghosts of the ideas and the dreams that you never acted upon, the businesses that you never started. It's the people and the versions of yourself that you never even tapped into because you're too scared to try.
Yeah.
And what does that look like for you if you don't take the chance, if you don't do it? Because so many people are like, well, oh my God, what will happen if I do this and it doesn't work?
What if you don't?
What if you don't do it? Who are you going to be?
Yeah.
You're going to pick your head up in 5 years. You're going to be in the same position you're in now 5 years down the road, and you can't get that back.
Yep.
That's the scary thing.
Yeah.
And having a spiritual conversation has been sort of, they talk about, don't talk about religion, you don't talk about money, you don't talk, like, these kind of conversations are what people need to be discussing more, because there's no wrong answer.
Right.
That's the coolest part about spirituality and belief is there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's just, but you got to believe in something.
Yeah.
Is my opinion.
And you got to have the conversation, right? And that's what this podcast is for, is to encourage that conversation. Have these discussions with your friends, with your business partners, with your family, with your kids.
Yeah.
Like have them, because there is no wrong answer, but it can create a really good discussion, which can lead to some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Tell them to get in the coffin too.
Get in the coffin.
Family morning coffin.
Cold plunge,
coffin
then a coffin.
Cold plunge coffin. I mean, dude, that's a powerful way to start your day. Do a cold plunge and then get in a
doesn't
coffin
wake
and
you
talk.
up, I don't know what will.
and then immediately get in a coffin and start thinking about your death.
Right.
Start with the end. start with, we're getting a little silly with
That's
it.
reverse engineering at its finest, but
Start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Work backwards.
Yeah.
And you'll find yourself exactly in the places you need to be, and eliminate the things that you don't need to be. Because when Michelangelo carved the statue of David in stone, and I'll close with this, when Michelangelo carved the statue of David in stone, they rolled, he said, they all said, how did you do that? Right? How did you create that? How did you build that? Right? This amazing statue made of marble and stone. How did you do that? And he said, I didn't create it or make it. When they wheeled the big marble slab in here, all I did was chip away. It wasn't supposed to be there. And left over was the statue.
Yeah.
So what do you need to chip away at in your life that is not supposed to be there, so that you can become this masterpiece that everybody surrounds and looks at in awe?
Yeah.
And all he did was remove what shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. It's already there.
It's already there.
So
You're
you
already
remove the
exactly you're already exactly who you need to be.
Yeah.
It's just a faction of all the other inputs that we talk about on these other episodes, like all the inputs and the opportunities and the people that you need to surround yourself in, the rooms that you need to get in and get out of. It's just a faction of all those things coming into alignment, doing the hard stuff, all the other things we talk about. It's a faction of all that put together, which is going to get you into that, beautiful masterpiece that you already are.
Yeah. Love it, man.
Yeah.
So true.
Awesome. Looking forward to, that was a wrap for season 1.
Yeah.
And we are very much looking forward to coming at you in season 2. So stay tuned.
Can't wait. We'll see you then.
All right.